Okay, welcome to part 3 for 8.1. Now we're going to talk about writing polynomials in standard form, which is something that's definitely on the quiz, so you're going to want to make sure this all makes sense to you before we move on. Make sure we can see everything. Okay, good. We're going to look at some polynomials that aren't written in standard form, and then we're going to write them in standard form. So let's take this one for example. 3x squared plus 4x to the 5th power minus 7x. Okay. Now, as you'll see up here, it says polynomials are written in order from the highest degree to the lowest degree. Okay, and remember the degree was the exponent. So looking at number 1 here, what is the degree or the highest of these exponents? Blues Clues pause. Number 5. Sorry, I'm still lost my voice a little bit. We're going to put the 5 first, the second power second, and this first power third. Okay, so we would rewrite it as 4x to the 5th plus 3x squared minus 7x. And be careful to keep those negative signs with their corresponding coefficient. Okay, this one didn't move, but in some of the future examples, you'll see that that'll happen. All right, I'm going to slide up a little bit. Now, the next term that we've got here is this leading coefficient, okay? And if we think about what a coefficient is, it's the number in front of a variable. And we think about the word leading, which means to come first. Well, the leading coefficient is the first number attached to a variable. So we look at the first term, and we look at the number that goes along with it. And so that's, in this case, is going to be 4. So the leading coefficient is 4. On the quiz, you're going to have a problem that says, look at this polynomial and tell me what the leading coefficient is. And it's going to be that simple to just write down 4, okay? Now, we've already kind of talked about the degree. The degree is the highest exponent in the polynomial. So here it's going to be a 5th degree. And some students also like to go ahead and write quintic. Okay, either of those answers would work on a quiz. If you called it a 5th degree, if you called it quintic, I will give you points either way. And then finally, we have to classify it, by degree and number of terms. This is what we were doing on the bottom of the front page. So we said it's a 5th degree, which means it's quintic, and there are 1, 2, 3 terms, which means it's a trinomial. So this is going to be a quintic trinomial. Good. I thought I spelled trinomial wrong. Okay. So these are some other things you'll be asked to do on your homework and on the quiz. Now let's look at one that's a little more complicated before we have you do one on your own. This is 5y minus 9 minus 2y to the 4th power minus 6y cubed. Okay. First thing we have to do, put it in standard form. So again, we're going to organize it so that the powers, the degrees, are in descending order. So biggest first, smallest last. So my biggest power here is 4. So I'm going to write negative 2y and realize it has to stay negative because there's a minus sign in front of it. So it has to come with it. Otherwise, we'll mess stuff up. Negative 2y to the 4th power minus 6y cubed. There's our next guy. Plus 5y, and it's plus because this up here is positive, so we're going to leave it positive and make it say plus. And then finally, minus 9. The constant term is always going to go last because remember, that's like saying 9 times y to the 0 power. Okay, so now we have it in standard form. Now we need to identify the leading coefficient. What's the first number we see in this polynomial? Negative 2. So our leading coefficient, negative 2. The degree, we've talked about, it's the highest exponent, so our degree is going to be 4th degree. And again, we can call that quartic in this case. And then when it comes to classifying it in terms of degree and number of terms, we will call it a quartic. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we would say quartic polynomial with 4 terms. Now, this last part here, you could word that in a number of different ways. Some people will say it's a quartic 4-term, quartic 4-term polynomial, or you can say a polynomial with 4 terms. I'm not too picky with it. I'm pretty sure on your quiz, it's either going to be a monomial, trinomial, or binomial. I skipped one, but that's what you would do there, okay? All right, we're going to do one more. 8 minus 2x squared plus 4x to the fourth minus 3x. Go ahead, pause the video, try this one on your own, and when you're done, hit play and check your work.